People, thank you for tuning back in. Deluded, I'm back again. Good morning, and I hope you're all doing well and safe this morning. Definitely Arsenal fans. Shout out to you that are not Arsenal fans and don't really give a crap about Arsenal, but you still rock with my vids. Thank you for that, and I apologise for not having some diverse content. If you want me to speak about general topics regarding the Premier League, then drop some below. Not transfers, please. But definitely, if you're an Arsenal fan, you don't want to get too gassed off beating Bournemouth. It's the FA Cup and whatnot, but you're fairly in good spirits this morning. It was a committed performance from our young players, whether Saka is playing left wing or left back, shining. Obviously, you've got Martinelli. We've got two top quality performing young players right now, and they're on fire on our left hand side. Obviously, Guendouzi put in a good performance, so did Joe. All they can do is put in good performances and give Arteta a headache when it comes to making selections. And the rest of the players that came into the side, obviously Mustafi, he was stretched off, and we don't know the full diagnosis of his injury right now, but from a human point of view, we sympathise with him. We hope he gets back as quickly as possible. We hope it's nothing serious, because he's human. That's a man's health. Obviously, regardless what you feel about him, he's a professional footballer. He would be unable to do his job, and as you lot know, injuries can be a lonely place. And in terms of Arsenal, it does suck, because I'm no physio and things like that, so I don't want to assume, but you know, I see stretched off, I see Mustafi. It didn't look like it. The ones you're always scared of, it didn't look like it was, you know, a contact like a next man did it to him. It's like how he landed sort of thing, and them ones there are always very scary. And then obviously a shoot, I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but that's him. Bellerin and Holding have returned from lengthy spells out. Tierney obviously came back and is now going through another one. Callum Chambers, who is having a good season and potentially the first defender on the team sheet, centre half, obviously he's injured. And Mustafi, and for Mustafi it sucks, because he was having a decent game, he was having a confident game. Regardless what you think about him, you never like to see someone's confidence on the floor. It was a nice touch from the away fans, big up the Arsenal fans, screaming his name and things, and that will do well for his confidence. And obviously, I don't believe in the man's abilities to contribute positively to Arsenal, but I never like to see someone down and whatnot. So it sucks. Obviously, with his contract up in 2021 and potentially us trying to move him on, it probably complicates things. Our centre-half situation means it was always unlikely Mustafi was going to go, but his father talked up his chances leaving in January, and Arteta didn't exactly rule it out. If there was some different movements with players coming in and these injuries, things could have happened, but hopefully Mustafi's one is nothing serious. In relation to transfers, Arteta has said, we are in the market and the club is trying to facilitate us one or two boys we can with the resources that we have in this window. So maybe that's two centre-halves, maybe that's a central mid and a centre-half. You've also seen Pablo Mari, the Brazilian, I keep saying Brazilian, he plays in Brazil, but he's a Spanish lad. Apparently that deal is back on, and you've seen my videos. We're all confused. 1 minute it's on, then it's off, then it's on, then it's off. But for me, he said one or two. Now, one or two could be a throwaway comment, people, but one or two implies to me two defenders or two centre mids. I'm trying not to get gassed and fall for my perception of what I think things are with what actually has happened, because I don't know, but that's positive. And obviously, Arteta was obviously briefed by the communications officer, and him and all the executives. They're always gonna, maybe not so much in this game, and the questions weren't as tense, but you knew they were gonna be quizzed on certain questions and whatnot. People did think he'd be answered specifically, asked more specifically about Pablo Mari in general as well. According to The Athletic, Arsenal only want a loan deal for Pablo Mari because the club are saving cash for the summer when they will spend big, and also because they have too many centre defenders on the books right now. And I can't lie, shout out to Oli Inca for going out on loan in League 2 to Northampton Town, but you look at some of our young defenders. I'm not criticising the club, I'm not criticising them, but if I was one of them, it'd make me wonder. We've had a centre-half crisis, we've not been able to bring one in, and I've seen Bowler, the left-back, on the bench, but if I'm Medley, if I'm Clark, if I'm McGuinness, I'm not really seeing opportunities forthcoming, so I'm thinking about my future. If we've had a centre-half crisis, whether it's crisis through injuries and through lack of ability, and I'm not getting a look in, and I'm not criticising anyone, to be selfish about my development and taking the next step, I'd have to consider making the step somewhere else. Because you look at Medley hasn't been involved. He's someone that's allegedly highly rated by the club. There's been issues at left back, he can fill in there, not getting a chance. Centre half the same. Now, personally, I'm not going to lie, I think he's a good ball player. I think he will struggle at first team level defensively because he's incredibly naive and he has a lot of lessons to learn, which is why I'm saying go out on loan. I'm not saying the club feel the same way, but there's got to be a reason he hasn't had a look in so far. So it is what it is in that relation, man. Keeping up with the theme of Arteta, though, quickly, people. He said, I think the way we started the game and the way they followed what we wanted to do to generate spaces and overloads in areas we wanted, and we scored 2 fantastic goals. But after that, we became a bit sloppy. We did creep into old habits, but you did see the overloads. For me, the best example would be when Saka pulled over from his midfield position into left back. In fact, me being the tactical man I am, let's quickly, there's no need for this really, but let's do it anyways, people. Should we make Bournemouth the away side? Quickly. Quick. In fact, to make the example better, I'll make Saka yellow. Now, if we say this is our defence, people, what I liked in relation to overloads, and you see it a lot, when Arteta came into the club, I spoke about midfielders allow too many runners, and there's several things, but they don't help out from wide areas, well enough. So for me, what I liked is that obviously quickly you saw Bournemouth put in some mid. Let's just do 4-4-2 because it looks a bit easier. They didn't play this, but let's just say 4 midfielders. Forget the strikers for a piece, people. But assuming this is them, yeah. Assuming this is Bournemouth, they sat off us. They weren't pressing. They weren't pressing us like you saw. If we just, you know what? Let's just put 2 players in. They weren't pressing us. They were sitting back and respecting us too much. So there was no. Our defenders had the freedom of the park to play. Bellerin had the license to go forward. But what I like is Saka said, "Do you know what, Martinelli? Go for Martinelli's up there already. Do you know what he said? Do you know what? I'll cover you. I'll cover you. Sorry, let's make it like that. I'll cover you. You go." So he told Saka, "Go bust out, man. Spend the first half in their half. You're a winger by trade. Go do that." And Saka went over there. And is it any coincidence you saw these two combined in down that side? Obviously, you saw other players involved for the goals and whatnot. But I think that's what he means in relation to overloads. He said, "In our passing, the rhythm was down and I didn't like that very much. In the second half, we knew they were going to push, put bodies forward and crosses into the box. And we suffered a little. Obviously, conceding the goal at the end makes it difficult and nervy." And to be fair, you did see, it would not be Arsenal fashion to try and manage out a game and then concede. But I see Xhaka trying to waste time. I don't agree with it when it's against my team, of course. But I'm seeing people make the most of injuries. I'm seeing people rein it in, not fly forward a bit more. And we did all that to still concede. Holding and Bellerin, if I quickly use them as an example, people, because we've used this already, we might as well. Long story short, not to scale. The Bournemouth lad gets in between these two. They're caught ball watching. He obviously exploits it and puts the ball in the back of the net, people. So it is what it is in that regards. What else is there to speak about? We've got to speak about Saka. He's including goals and assists, people. He's on 11 already, and to be fair to you, he's this 18-year-old lad, and he's showing more consistency and performance than a lot of players. And I know a lot of Premier League clubs and fans in general get gassed, but I think in Martinelli and Saka in particular, we have got 2 incredible players. Now, I think what gives us even more flexibility, obviously they have to become a master of one position and then have others in their arsenal. But long term, you're looking at Saka as a winger, you're looking at Martinelli as a striker. Obviously, if they can play left wing, well, Martinelli up front and on the left, Saka left wing and left back, and he's able to perform at left back, this gives us more flexibility, especially moving forward, because again, in the next 5 years or so, football's a funny game and things can happen, but in the next 3 to 5 years, you're expecting them two to be core members of this side, people. I was impressed with Joe and Guendouzi, as I've said as well. What I like about Martinelli and Saka is that they've got a very good appreciation. They're clearly good friends, but they're starting to understand each other subconsciously. When you know football, people, when you've played with your friends, you know a certain man might make a certain run, so you've seen it already. I'm seeing that sort of stuff, and I'm seeing them continuously talk to each other, and I'm seeing them of gas each other and believe in each other on and off the field. So I really like that bromance, man, and I'm really happy with Saka and Martinelli. Obviously, Martinelli proves that scouting, if you do it right, doesn't matter how much a player's brought in for. Saka, it's a good moment for obviously the club. He's an Arsenal lad. I know he's from West, but let's just say he's a local lad. He's been at A-Land, hours of coaching with, you know, through the academies, and these things pay off, because how much money has Martinelli for different reasons saved us a lot of money, but how much money has Saka saved us, for example? How many left backs have we been linked with? Again, we don't know where his future lies, but he's performing in both. We've got a shout out to Eddie and Nketiah as well. I think he's improved defensively based on that game. He does look like he appreciates the defensive aspect a bit more, and that's something I saw added into his game when he was on loan at Leeds. The most he can, he's very much the third choice striker. The most he can do, as you lot already know, is take opportunities when they come. He's got a start. He's got a goal. He was involved in one of the goals that was like 22 passes. I can't remember if he scored it or not, because both the goals had a lot of passes and they were good. But you're looking at him again, potential is just potential, and I believe all of these young players can have a role in the side. Whether some are going to be important players that we count upon, squad options and rotation, or just regular options, depends on them. It's down to them. But I really believe in some of these players. Obviously, they'll need to be supplemented with experience and good signings, but you get the point. I like Eddie, man, and for this season at least, Eddie's just got to take any opportunity that comes his way. I'm not going to lie, Eddie had a good game, but in a positive way, I think there's a bit more to come. You know when you're watching someone and you feel they've got a bit more to them? The general play was there, he scored his goal and he worked his socks off, but I believe in a positive sense there's a bit more to come from Eddie. Not even about his goals. I think there's more he can do in the game to leave his mark, people, really and truly. And I really like Eddie, man, really, because we need options on the bench, we need options off the bench, and our bench isn't the strongest. So if Eddie can come and give us, if he deserves his spot, if he earns his spot and starts, then good play. But yeah, man, he gives us good options at least until May and whatnot, man. And at least with the young strikers, we've got some serious players coming, man. I mean, if we can't have two of the three of Balogun, John Jules and Eddie progressing to first team, then in my opinion, we're doing something wrong. Saka and Martinelli, before I get out of here, people, he has said, we train a lot together, we speak a lot, and we're good friends. Over time, we're speaking about how we're going to beat the defenders and how we're going to get in behind and score. And I've heard Martinelli echo these comments previously as well. Got to offer some thoughts on Eddie. He said, it's nice to be back at Arsenal. I had a great experience at Leeds. I learned a lot. The boss was really happy with The boss was really happy with me and what he saw. Obviously, you want to play for Arsenal. It is my dream to play for Arsenal. Saka said, Mikel's trying to bring back the philosophy, the Arsenal passing way, and I think we played really good football in the first half. We did, people, we did. Second half, we made things harder than it had to be. We obviously did well going 2-0 up and giving ourselves a cushion, because in hindsight, it would have been 1-1. We would have had we can't deal with ifs and buts, but we obviously like our neighbours Spurs tomorrow, messing up the trains, and my train from London, Liverpool Street, back to Ends. They've got a replay, and these things are unnecessary. And with Arsenal's squad, with the injuries we've got, with people dropping like flies with every game, the least games we can play, the better, people. But hopefully, like I said, man, I'm impressed with our young players, and I'm still buzzing the morning after the night before about their performances. Hopefully that same optimism can be replicated in bringing in some recruitments for Arteta to move with for the end of the season and moving forward. We need a centre-half or two. Small hope for a centre-mid and a centre-half. But with it being the end of the window on Friday, who knows what can happen. Nobody saw us getting Pablo Marie. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. But nobody saw it, so the club might be working on stuff, but we'll have to see. On that note, I'm going to get out of here. People, it's always a pleasure speaking with you lot, but I've got to love you and leave you. Deluded, I'm out. God bless.